right. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. And we are actually like halfway through June already, which means Witch City Tarot Gathering is like about a month away. So that is crazy, crazy. It is coming our way so fast. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you need to do that today because we are low ticket warning across the board. I believe for the Witches Market, there are only a few of the VIP tickets left. So you definitely want to make sure you get on that, make sure you have a place to stay, all that good stuff. So today we are talking with Gwen Walsh, and I see that she popped on. Gwen, go ahead and request to join, and we will get you on here. I am going through all of our presenters and just wanted to introduce them to you, to all of you, so that when you come, you know what everyone's talking about. You know, it's a familiar face because we're all friends, right? We're all friends here. The only other thing I can think of right now is if you are interested in doing any of the intensives, those are separate from the Witch City Tarot Gathering. It's a part of what we're doing, but you do not need the Witch City Tarot Gathering tickets to go to them. They are a separate ticket purchase. So if you come into town early or you want to just go do something extra, those are all on the website. So make sure to check those out as well. All right, let's see if we can. And I say it every time, like you do this and you always have to see what happens because, Instagram's just what it is. There we go. Hello.
And
Good. How are you?
good, thank you. Very good. I'm outside, so I'm happy.
Yes. No, I know. It's not raining, so that's a good thing. I mean, we needed it, but it's been a lot.
I know. I was just down in New York City with all of the smoke and everything for the past week. So I am feeling good being not in the city anymore.
Right. Like you can breathe and you're in your space. It is the best thing ever. Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on with us today. And I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself and then just kind of go into what you're talking about in July. That's like a month away.
Sure, sounds good. So, hi everyone. My name is Gwen Walsh. I'm going to apologize in advance for my leftover apocalypse breath voice. Little sniffly from the poison air last week.
Yes.
But so I am a sex educator, a tarot reader, and a sexuality and spirituality consultant. I've worked various events and consulting kind of practices with different groups. I've done tarot events for groups like L'Oreal and charity nonprofit groups. I've done consulting work for companies like Durex and KY, and I'm also a clinical psychology grad student at Columbia University in New York City. But now I'm up in Maine, so I spend my off time up in New England. And yeah, I've been reading tarot for about 8 or 9 years, and I also teach it as well. So I'm really excited to contribute to the Witch City Tarot Gathering this year.
Yeah, that's so exciting. So what will you be bringing to us in July?
So I'm going to be presenting a class called Oracle, the Psychic Tarot Masterclass, and it's going to be all about learning kind of how to integrate intuitive and psychic practices into tarot. So it's provides a little bit more than just, oh, this is the Eight of Pentacles, which means hard work, instead of just having kind of a flat one-dimensional interpretation of the card, kind of bringing in, oh, are there any like images or sounds or feelings that I get from this that can add some nuance and personalization to the reading?
Oh, I love that because I think that especially when people are new readers, they're so stuck on this is what it says. Like you said, that Eight of Pentacles is hard work. Okay, that's what it means. But there's so much more to it if you just kind of get out of that headspace and just start kind of listening to all of the other things going around you and really tapping into your intuition because it's so important. And I teach tarot as well, and I think it's really one of the hardest things. I think not even learning the meanings, it's getting people to believe in their intuition and actually using that in a reading, right?
Exactly, exactly. I know when I first started reading, there was a lot of moments where I would get either images or just kind of messages, and I would think to myself, like, this is a little weird or it doesn't really make sense with the card, so I don't know if I should say it.
Right.
And the few that I would just say it to the client, like, I'm seeing a beaver, or I'm seeing like a white horse, or like I'm getting this message of, go to the river or whatever. And they'd be like, oh my God, that makes so much sense. And I'm like, okay, I'm not just crazy.
Right.
But it can get in the way when you're not really sure and when you are more nervous. It makes sense that we wouldn't want to sound random or weird or say something that doesn't really make sense. And so part of it, like you said, is gaining that confidence and being in that state of flow instead of trying to force or suppress things.
Right. And, and I think it's important too, like, just because it doesn't make sense to us doesn't mean it won't make sense to our client who we're speaking to. Because I think, we definitely have all had those moments. Like, I had one that I kept seeing these blue butterflies, and there was no butterflies on this card. There was nothing that had to do with it. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm just going to say, I'm like, do blue butterflies mean anything to you? And she's like, yes, my grandma always said she'd send me blue butterflies when she passed. I was like, oh, okay. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just one of those things, like, oh, all right, so maybe, like you said, I'm not crazy. But so for anyone who is going to be joining your class, is there anything that they should bring or be prepared for? Any advice on that?
Yeah, so I'm a Virgo, so I'm a note taker. So I always recommend a notebook and pen, pencil, whatever. And I would also say, if you can, bring a tarot deck, because we will be practicing kind of in the class, so that it's not just people listening to me go on and on and on, but more of like a practice
Yeah.
of, okay, how actually do this and practice this, and getting some time for feedback on, like, oh, I felt kind of stuck when I was doing this part, so that I'm not just sending people out into the unknown to see if it works for them or not. So I would definitely say, if you have a tarot deck, definitely bring it. If not, no worries, you can practice it whenever you do get a tarot deck, but I would say ideally bring your
Yes.
decks.
Well, and I could, and the thing is, since we are going to be in Salem, there are plenty of places to find one if you don't have one. So that is definitely not a problem where we will be. So I think too, generally, I think that's just kind of one of those things. Like, if you're coming to this event, like, you should probably just have a deck with you. And if you're somebody who really doesn't like to carry stuff around, get a tarot app. They're great. You could get some really good ones for like $2 on any deck that you want. So that there's no reason to not have a deck, people. Have a deck. Definitely bring it. So what right now is your favorite deck that you're using?
Oh boy. I would have to say my favorite for myself is the Smith Waite. That is a deck that I've never used for anyone else. It's always been just for me.
Yeah.
Um, and for others, for clients, I would say the Serpent Fire. That one is definitely my most social deck.
Yeah.
And I actually almost sold it years ago, because like 5 or 7 years ago, I was very new at tarot reading,
Mhm.
and like could not, I felt like it was so beyond me, and I couldn't possibly understand it or like make the most of it. Like, I really struggled with connecting with
Mhm.
it. And 5, 7 years later, it's my favorite deck. It's like always the one I reach for, especially when I read for myself and for clients, especially.
Yeah.
And so it really goes to show that, like, just because you're feeling a little shaky or not very confident with tarot now, that doesn't mean that you will always feel that way.
Right, right. And there's so many people that I've talked to that there is like always that one deck that they're so excited when they first start to use, and they look at it and they're like, oh my God, I can't do this. They put it down.
Mhm.
And then, a couple years later, they pick it back up and they instantly connect to it. So it's always, it's definitely one of those things, like, if you find one and you're not fully like connected with it, just put it aside for a little while, because you never know. And like you said, you start picking that one up, now it's your go-to. I love that. And I think a lot of people don't realize that either. And they're like, oh, I got to get rid of it. This isn't going to work for me. But you just never know. You never know when it's going to. Well, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with me today. So can you just tell everybody where they can find you if they'd like to work with you?
Absolutely. So, of course, here on Instagram at Gwen Walsh. And of course, we have to say, don't pay attention to the scammers, the anything else. It's just my name, nothing else. I haven't made the move to pay for verification yet. So just be aware of that.
Yes.
And gwenwalsh.com, same, just first and last name is my website.
Mm-hmm.
I have like a list. I know some people don't like to do social media, so you can get on my email list. And I have a podcast called the Love Witch Podcast. I only have a few episodes, but definitely look that up if you're more the listening as opposed to watching type. And I think that's about it.
All right, awesome. Well, I'm really excited to see what you're presenting and to meet you in person in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for coming on. No problem. Thanks everyone for hopping on. Have a great day.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.